Welcome into Classic City Locks. Another week here for you. It's been a great season so far. Would it ever be a bad season? I don't think you'd ever hear us say that. So, surprisingly, we had a mediocre week last week. We didn't do it well enough for you guys on our picks, our teams, just kind of mediocre. We had a couple wins, couple losses. So, we'll jump right into it. Our team recap. Remember, we have one team from each conference. Mike, he had two wins this week and one loss, one team on bye. Me, on the other hand, I had two wins, one loss, and one team on bye. So we're pretty even in that regard. As far as the win totals, though, we're looking at a lot more games needed to hit those win totals. It's early. It's early. We still got eight more games in the season for most of these teams, but they're going to need six wins pretty much each. Mike, any of your teams you want to highlight?
Yeah, I mean, I had a bit of a scare with Vanderbilt almost plunging the knife into my Missouri Tigers, but they held on in overtime, getting that gritty 30-27 win. And UNC, if you told me yesterday or last week that UNC was going to score 50 points, I was like, that's a dub. I didn't even think that JMU would score freaking 70 points.
That
They
was
got
the loss of the
embarrassed.
week.
So
Loss of the week.
that's their first loss. Arizona on a much needed bye before a tough matchup against Utah. And Washington took care of business against Northwestern, so I was proud of them. They're looking okay for that 6.5 total as they move to 3-1.
Yeah, my teams on the other hand, Texas A&M almost choked to Bowling Green, 26-20 your final score there. Virginia Tech also lost to Rutgers,
Hold
just
on, timeout.
disappointing.
There are three things in life that we know: death, taxes, and Texas A&M disappointing us on this show.
Nah, I mean they got the win. That's all that matters for me. I did pick them to cover probably. I mean like Bowling Green, man.
Come
Come
on.
on. I guess they played Penn State pretty
Yeah,
tough.
that's true.
So Virginia Tech losing to Rutgers, unfortunately, just the sellout of the century is Virginia Tech to be a sleeper ACC pick. Can't believe that one. But West Virginia actually did good. They beat Kansas. It was crazy. That was a good game. They're performing a little bit better than anticipated this far through the season. And then Wisconsin on a bye week this week, so or last week. So we'll see. We'll see how those eight teams fare this next week. Maybe give them a watch if you haven't yet this season.
Yeah, they're fun teams to watch. The Missouri game had me on the edge of my seat. I did not expect that. Going into our pick 'em, I have not broken 50% yet, but I did take a step in the right direction. I got fourth this week, went 9 and 10. It was tough. We only had like three people out of 18 go over 50%. So yeah, 9 and 10. West came in at eighth, 8 and 11.
So
That moved.
I'd like, as Mike was calling out before the show, I'd like to point out that a difference of one game slotted me back four places. That's
Yeah,
just
should have picked the
unfortunate.
tiebreaker better. I don't know what to tell you.
Even if I had, I wouldn't have been up there.
But on the season total, I still have some work to do. I bumped up a tick, 36-47, so I'm sitting around 43%. Wes dips below 50. He's 41 and 42, 49%. But like we said, not even halfway through the season yet. So we got a lot of games ahead of us.
That can't be right. I'm going to check that right now.
Go ahead.
So our recap for this week, we had a lot of good games. Vandy with the almost upset against Missouri. Mike kind of touched on Illinois taking down Nebraska on
Big
Friday night. That was awesome. I loved that game. It was back and forth. Luke, no, yeah, Luke
Altmaier.
Altmaier. He
Yeah.
went in there and it's a great game. And Mike, what was a sold out game again? How many is that in a
Yeah.
row?
So the crazy thing about Nebraska, and I have a lot of respect for them. This was their 400th consecutive sold out game. Granted, there's probably not much to do in Lincoln on a Friday night, but it's very impressive. And I think that this is a testament to both of these teams. We've seen them play well this season. I think that Nebraska is very good, but I think that Illinois, they're putting something together there. They have some quality wins this season so far, and that's a tough environment to play in.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, talk about an easy environment to play in. Baylor went to Boulder, Colorado, and just did something to the bed that I'm not allowed to say, but
I
they had that game wrapped up. I had money on them, and then all of a sudden they just decided to give up a 30-yard touchdown pass on the last play of the game.
think it was more than 30. Might have
Probably.
might have been even more.
Yeah.
But
Well,
they failed to take down the evil empire that is Colorado, unfortunately.
and Dave Aranda now giving Billy Napier a run for his money on first head coach fired this season. So we'll
Yeah.
see if Baylor can take care of business this week against BYU. That's a good matchup this week.
Another game I wanted to highlight, it was kind of overshadowed by the ranked matchup we had on Friday, but if any of you stayed up till 2:30 in the morning, I was up with you as well. I
I wasn't.
watched Wazoo versus San Jose State. I was like, what is this snooze fest of a game? I got to tune in and see what happens because the Illinois game is over. I'm in football mode. And what I got was a double overtime Pac-12 after dark madness game where the game, I've never seen this. ESPN's win probability meter had San Jose State at 100% chance to win, and they gave up a field goal to go to overtime. San Jose State throws a pick in the end zone. Wazoo responds with a pick of their own in the end zone, and then they win in double overtime. One of the best games I've seen all season. If you watched it, you agree with me. It was an instant classic.
That one was crazy. I didn't see it, but I saw the highlights. That's
It was
a little bit
nuts.
after my bedtime. But Tennessee, Oklahoma, another game that
Big
week
one.
this week. I was wrong. Mike was right. I'll admit it. But I was not expecting Jackson Arnold to just be the worst quarterback in the SEC this week. So
Yeah,
Oklahoma's solid team, though. Their defense was phenomenal. I mean, Mike, you put here that Tennessee's offense kind of, they took some hits. And
yeah,
Nico, I think, threw a pick there. Kind of kept the score way closer than the game felt. But at the end of the day,
yes.
it was Tennessee's game for sure.
It felt like Tennessee was in control the whole game, but they definitely pumped the brakes. Because Hype will feel bad about beating up on his alma mater. I don't know, but we never felt like they lost control of that game. But they're not their offense is not invincible. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And then another game of the week, USC Michigan. We were wrong. USC's defense has big problems, and Michigan finally put together a decent game.
Yeah. Shout out to Bear Alexander going on just using his red shirt to leave USC. Like what?
Ridiculous. This is
I'm
the
not.
problem with the transfer portal. We've talked about it. Journeyman football.
Yeah. I mean, you should not be allowed to red shirt unless you're injured, not playing. I just that. Let's move on. I'll get too angry up
We could
here.
do our whole video on that on its own. But
Yeah.
that's it for the previous week. I know that I've really enjoyed this slate. Wes, I think that we have some really good ones. Let's jump into it with Oklahoma again, going on the road to Auburn. This game caught both of our eyes because Oklahoma's only favored by two. What have
Yeah.
we seen from Auburn this year, Wes?
Not a lot, They just struggled. They lost to Arkansas at home, I believe, and that Arkansas team's not bad, but I mean, you looked at the coach after the game, Auburn there, and he was just criticizing his players a little bit. He criticized himself, but then he was like, "Yeah, we need to find somebody that doesn't turn it over. We need to find some linemen that can block, like blah blah blah,
Yeah.
all this stuff." I was like, that is not a culture that I want to get behind right now. So
No.
we're going to take Oklahoma -2 to cover at Auburn.
Oklahoma's backup that came in and finished the game for them against Tennessee passed for a touchdown, rushed for like 20 something yards, and the game was wrapped up at that point. I think he played for maybe a quarter and a half. But even though you're switching to QBs for a full new game, Auburn is trash. I don't understand why this line is not even close to 7 points. So we're gonna stick with Oklahoma, like Wes said, solid defense, very
Yeah.
solid defense, and their offense is good. And I think that their new QB is going to be great.
Yeah. And our next pick, another team that we talked about already, Illinois, going into Penn State. Illinois is getting 19.5 here. We watched them on Friday and they look pretty good. I don't know if this is going to be a three-score game. So
Yeah.
we're going to ride with the Fighting Illinois
And
minus 19 plus 19.5.
we've seen Penn State struggle this season. Bowling Green leading at halftime. I know you say we don't check it doesn't transfer week to week, but Penn State is mortal. They have some weaknesses, and Illinois is a good team. And I think that we love Brett Bielema. He looks like a Sopranos character. I can get behind him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, for a game like this, that's too many points.
I'm cheering for him. Yeah. Let's
Yeah,
take the points.
absolutely.
Our next pick for us this week, we're going to take a team that's just been body bagging people. We're going to take Clemson Tigers at
Mm-hmm.
home against Stanford. Stanford got their first ACC win last week against Syracuse. You're going into Death Valley. I think it's going to be a very different environment. NC State did kind of get close to a backdoor cover against Clemson, but I mean, I love the Tigers here. I think they just blow out another kind of lackluster ACC opponent here, Mike.
Yeah, the reason that Syracuse lost that last game was they turned the ball over too much. I think that we've seen Cade Klubnik develop. He's passing the ball well. He's connecting well. Phil Maffa had a great game last week. He ran for over 100 yards. So Clemson is coming into their own. They've shaken off the dust from the beatdown they received week one, and they are looking more like them looking more like their old selves. And like you said, playing at home. I think that Stanford's going to get a wake up call. This ain't no Syracuse.
Yeah, exactly. And the last game of the week we wanted to highlight, you've all been waiting for it. UGA goes into Tuscaloosa to face the Crimson Tide. UGA is somehow a 2-point favorite. Man, I don't know. I think this one's going to be straight up a pick 'em. So,
It's going to be a close one. My big worry for Georgia here is the injuries have started to mount up on the D line. Guys like Michael Williams hurt on offense. Robinson at running back, not going to play. We lost Tate Ratledge. So it's going to be a next man up mentality. We've been here, done that. UGA's deep. That's going to be put to the test here, though, in one of the hardest road tests they've ever had. And Bama only has three guys on the sheet right now, and they're all probable. So I think though that not having Saban there is going to be, I mean, I know he'll be there probably, but not having him at the helm is a big piece to this game. I
yeah.
just I feel like this is the hardest opponent that DeBoer is going to face. I think that the Dogs can get it done here. If there is ever a time they're going to shake the dust off and kick the Bama regular season curse, it's here.
Yeah, well, I would love to share your optimism, but I've been hurt too many times by the tried and
I'm
true
taking
Georgia
Georgia here,
Bulldogs.
man. We're covering this one.
There's the weird thing that my brother sent to me earlier today. ESPN's matchup predictor is just the weirdest algorithm ever.
It's
They're giving
terrible.
Alabama a 65% chance to win this game.
It's
And then
terrible.
you have Georgia favored by two. It's like, why would you not take the points and run? But
It doesn't make sense.
I think this one's going to be a pick 'em. I think hopefully we get a great game, night game there. It's going to be rocking.
Mhm.
And we'll see. We'll see whether this UGA team's a championship contender or if they're a championship pretender. And then same for Alabama. I mean, I think this game goes one of two ways. One team just blows out the other, and I don't know who it is, or it's kind of close till the third quarter and then someone just pulls away. I don't
Yep.
think we're going to get a last second finish in this one. These two schools kind of historically don't do that to each other. So,
I feel the same way. I think that it's going to be the latter. I think one of these two teams is going to outlast the other, but it's going to be going into halftime. It's going to be a one score game.
yeah. Well, there you have it, folks. That's our week video, the breakdown, our teams, a couple picks there in for you. We're reaching back to grab the tides from last season. Hopefully, I can still outlast Mike in the pick 'em. I need a good week this week. I've been just always at the middle of the pack. Either like, come on, man, get serious or just get off the boat. Like, I'm done.